there's an element of when you have more financial stress, I don't care who you are, I don't care what's going on, it impacts your decision-making ability. Sometimes you have to compromise, you have to sacrifice, and maybe take jobs or opportunities that are not in your unique ability because of the fact that you just need to survive. I've had to do it. Everybody I know that's had any level of success has had to do that at some point in time. The faster you learn about you and the faster you can get set up so you don't have to do that, the more it's going to compress the time frame of your success journey. And that's just the way it is. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and for this video, we're going to be talking about the 4 things that you need to understand in order to become rich. Now, I know it's a bold statement, and I put a lot of thought and intent into what these 4 things are, and I think by the time we get to the end of this, they're going to make a lot of sense. So make sure you stick around, watch till the end, and we will go from there. But let's just get into this, starting at number 1. And that is understanding how money works. When we think about this, I'm not just talking about what investments to make, how do I get better rates of return on my money, all these different things. I'm talking about how do you actually structure your personal financial life to take advantage of any economic environment. How do we make sure that you have an emergency fund built up so you can weather if you lose your job, if the economy goes in a downswing? Do you have an emergency fund? Do you have a rainy day fund? Do you know that if you lost your job tomorrow, how long would you be able to put food on the table, pay your mortgage, pay your car payments before you started to be stressed out? This is a really important area, for me. I think is super important because what I know to be true is more divorces are caused because of financial stress, right? Like the reality is money is just a tool for us to live the best lives that we can live, right? And so from that perspective, what's more important than going out and trying to chase big returns? And I got all sorts of technical reasons why investing and taking on risk too early just doesn't make sense. But to me, the more important reasons are, is your financial strategy in alignment with your values? And if you're somebody who's married and has a wife or a husband and kids and whatever, to me, your number one value should be looking at making sure your family is solidified. You know what I mean? And when you look at it from that perspective, is your financial strategy insulating and galvanizing your family structure? And if you don't have an emergency fund really built up, I cannot tell you how many people I've talked to, because I also, by the way, just side note, I own a career coaching company, and I wrote a book called Executive Job Search Secrets a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago. And with that book, what I can tell you is a lot of the coaches that, have coached for me, the conversations that we had with people, executives, high earning executives, we would only work with people that made $150,000 a year and up. And what I can tell you is in the conversations with those people, it was really eye-opening to me in the financial space and how I coach people with their money because of the fact that there's so much stress that go on high earners that their families are depending on them, that a lot of times when the job goes away, when the income goes away, your dignity goes with it. Your self-confidence goes with it. A lot of times the relationship that seems like it's doing really well, all of a sudden it has all these micro fractures in the cracks in the strength of the foundation of that because you don't have the buffer to be able to withstand what's coming at you. It's amazing how different people have a hard time dealing with financial stress. Having that emergency fund there will help prepare you and protect you. But I'm not just talking financially. I'm talking about the more important things in life, which is our family. So understanding how money works is the key foundational component to knowing what you need to do for financial structure. And then once you understand that, then you can get into all the other stuff on where you want to invest your money, how you want to save, where you want those assets to go, what kind of life insurance you need, like all these different things that go into it. But the first foundational component is you need to get that emergency fund built. And then when you look at financial structure, that emergency fund, and then you build an opportunity fund on top of that, that is the foundation of your financial home, right? And when you look at it, I heard one of my agents the other day on the team use this analogy. He comes from the contracting background. His name is Julian. I gotta give him a good call out here. He said, if we had that, if we got our foundation right, since he's from the contracting world, he goes, we could have a hurricane come through and just completely take the whole house down. But as long as we got a good foundation, it's easy to build back on top of it, right? It's the same thing with our finances. Things are going to happen. The world's going to throw a lot of things at us that we don't even know are coming, right? But if you have that foundation built in stone, nothing else is ever going to tear you down. And you know you're going to be prepared. And if you do it the right way, not only is nothing going to tear you down, but when the rest of the world seems like it's on fire around you, you're going to be able to see it through a different lens and look for the opportunity in that environment. All right, so number 2 is identify your unique abilities and spend more time there. This is an area that for me, honestly, I struggled with this in a big way. One of my mentors told me is just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so it's one of those things where I have this natural tendency to want to control things, right? I think there's probably a lot of you out there that are watching this that feel the same way. I want to have massive accountability for the results of my life, and a lot of times that meant I'm a grinder. I work hard. I try to control everything around me. I'm going to do it because nobody is going to do it better than me. But here's what I'm going to tell you is that if you have that mindset, you're never going to be able to really grow and achieve anything of any significance. You've got to be willing to take a step back and identify where is it that your unique abilities are best. How do you serve the world? Where do you provide the most value? What problems are you able to solve best? And when you can realize that and you can identify that, now you go, okay, this is where my unique ability is. This is where the most value that I add is. My guess is for you, if you're anything like me, that's where you're the most fulfilled too. And when you're focusing your time and energy into things and passions that you know you're contributing, because we get our value in this world knowing that we add contribution. The greatest way to be unhappy is to seek happiness for happiness' sake in and of itself, right? And so when we know we're contributing, that's when we're fulfilled, right? And so and you are going to be more fulfilled when you're contributing according to what you're best at and where your highest value is, right? Because that's what God gave you. That's what you were here for, right? And so when you spend your time there, that's where you're going to be best. So what do? And I'm just going to tell you my story. I did this. I would, when I first started this YouTube channel, go back and watch some of my earlier videos. I did all my own editing, all my own filming, all my own stuff. Every video I filmed, it took 8 to 10 hours of production time. And now I'm creating 2 to 6 videos a day on average. And people go, Chris, how the heck do you produce so much content? You're a machine. And it's like, only because I know what I'm good at. I'm sitting in front of this camera, and I'm doing this. And I have an awesome guy behind the camera, and I have an awesome team that's editing this video and doing their unique ability. So not only am I able to spend this time and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, because I gotta tell you something, I did not enjoy editing videos, right? But I've got an amazing guy and husband and wife team in the Philippines that edit this. Not only has the production quality gone up because they're a lot better at doing that job than I am. Why? Because they love it. It's what they love to do. Not only, is the quality better because the lighting and the filming and the background and like all this is more intentional, because I got a guy who's helping me do that. I don't have to think about it. I'm just thinking about how I'm trying to communicate to you, how I'm trying to help you, how I'm trying to serve you, how I'm trying to take these complex financial ideas and concepts, break them down to their simplest parts. And now, because I've got myself surrounded by a team and I'm sitting in my unique ability, I'm able to do this, I hope, at a better level for you, right? And that's what this is all about. And so let that example be applied to your life, right? And I got to tell you, I struggled with that for a long time. And it wasn't until I got out of my own way and I started realizing I got to be willing to stretch myself. I got to be willing to step outside of my comfort zone, to be willing to let go of some stuff. And guess what? It's going to get harder before it gets easier. I promise. But here's one of my favorite quotes in the world is if it's worth doing poorly until you're good at it. And this is one of those things. I was not good at giving up control initially. I was not good at what I can tell you is it gets easier over time. And as it does, now I start to look back now and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could not do it without the team around me. And I'd be miserable, quite frankly, if I had to, right? Like, could I? I have the ability. I wouldn't want to, and I wouldn't be able to show up as the best version of myself in this world if I had to do that. And so I can also show you that the value's gone up, my productivity's gone up, my income has gone up, everything about it has gone up because I'm stepping into that space, and I encourage you to do the same thing. So the third thing you need to understand for you to be able to get rich is that you need to keep your overhead low. It's going to be really easy as you start making more money to want to invest and spend on things, or not even invest, but spend money on things that are going to increase your overhead and not bring more value. One of the best investments that you're going to be able to make is into yourself, into a team, into assets and people. There's a great book called Who Not How, and it's all about the fact that you don't have a how problem. You're not lacking resources. You're probably lacking people. You're lacking the right people in your life to help fill a problem, to fill a solution for you that you need to get to where you want to go. Like I said, I don't have an issue. I've got all the people all the tools. I have all the editing tools and audio tools and technical ability and equipment. I have all that stuff. I don't need anything else. I was missing the right people, right? And so it just comes down to the fact that, when we're thinking about this, we want to keep our overhead low. And when we spend money, we want to spend it on things that are going to increase our productivity level, increase our ability to earn income, increase our ability, quite frankly, it's not even about the income. It's about increase our ability to add more value, solve higher level problems. And if we do that into the world, the income and everything else is going to follow. You need to focus on your activity, keeping your overhead low and pushing in that direction to make sure that you can be laser focused on the problems that you're able to solve and having the right team around you. And by keeping your overhead low, it's going to allow you to have that flexibility to be able to keep your focus in the right areas. There's an element of when you have more financial stress, I don't care who you are, I don't care what's going on, it impacts your decision-making ability. Sometimes you have to compromise, you have to sacrifice, and maybe take jobs or opportunities that are not in your unique ability because of the fact that you just need to survive. I've had to do it. Everybody I know that's had any level of success has had to do that at some point in time. The faster you learn about you and the faster you can get set up so you don't have to do that, the more it's going to compress the time frame of your success journey. And that's just the way it is. And so that's number 3. And finally, number 4 is you need to invest for cash flow. I'm a really big believer in this. It's one of the reasons I wrote my book, Cash Flow Hacking. And by the way, you can go down in the description in the link below or go to the link in my bio and you can get a free copy of that for $8.95. All I ask you to do is pay for shipping and handling. I've already paid for the books. It literally is a break-even offer for me just to get this book to you as cheap as possible. If you want to, if some people don't like going through that process, you can go to Amazon and pay $19.99 and get it on Amazon. Whatever works for you. If I'm you, I'm going to the link in my thing and getting it for $8.95. That just makes more sense to me. Unless you want to give me an extra $12, I'll take it. So what I can say here as far as cash flow goes is the human brain is only going to allow you to put 100% of effort into something that you believe with 100% certainty you'll be successful with, right? Let that sink in for a second. What we're doing, no matter what, is we're always fighting our subconscious. There's a really amazing book. It's called The Ant and the Elephant by Vincent Pacenti. He was a former Olympic skier. I think he won the gold medal. I don't remember what year it was. It was like late 70s or 80s or something of that nature. But he wrote this book, and the idea is when we are making decisions in our life and we're acting on anything, let's face it, we make millions of decisions every single day, whether it's do I want to stand up, do I want to sit down, do I need to go to the bathroom, do I need to eat, do I need to look at my computer, do I need to look at the camera, what am I going to focus? These are all little micro decisions, right? And we train ourselves, and we have our conscious thought and we have our subconscious thought, right? And we don't realize this, but our subconscious is what runs our life, period. When your subconscious is firing, literally the neurons in your brain, when they're firing, it's 4 billion neurons are firing at the same time. When we're making conscious thoughts, it's 2 million neurons. Think about that. So this is where the ant and the elephant comes from. 2 million compared to 4 billion is like an ant our conscious mind, the ant, trying to basically sit on top of the elephant, 4 billion neurons, and steer the elephant. Well, I got news for you. If an ant's sitting on top of an elephant, the elephant doesn't even know the ant is there, right? And so what's happening here is we need to believe what we're doing is going to work. Because if we don't, our subconscious is just going to keep going the path that it's on, no matter what. And what I know to be true is if you're making $100,000 a year right now as a household or as an individual, I'm just going to use this number, just keep things round. And I tell you, based on inflation, based on everything that's going on in your life, 30 years from now, you're going to need $400,000 of income just to maintain your standard of living. And in order to do that, you're going to need $8 million in a retirement account to be able to pull that off. You're going to probably look at me like I have two heads, and you're going to say, there's zero chance I believe that I'm going to get to $8 million saving $10,000 a year. That's just human psychology, right? So your subconscious is going to go, whoa, hey, no, I'm not going to do it. It's not going to work. No way that you're going to succeed with that. So no matter how much your conscious tries to override and say, hey, we're just going to make this happen. We're going to grind this out and whatever, your subconscious is going to go, I don't believe it. And so it's never going to allow you to put 100% of effort into something. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that people are struggling with money right now is because of the fact that most people realize that the system is kind of rigged against them. They don't know why. They can't explain how. They can't put words to it, but they understand just intuitively. Your subconscious feels that it's just not going to work for you. And if that's the case, and if we know what's the point of grinding and striving and trying and saving and delaying gratification if 35, 40 years from now we're going to get there and it's still not going to be enough? Why do it? We might as well just not try and enjoy life as much as we can on the way, right? That is why people are failing with money. But this is the importance of investing for cash flow. Because if you invest for cash flow, now instead of looking at an $8 million number, we're looking at a monthly number. Financial freedom, it's not about retirement. It's not about how much money you have. It's about cash flow. Cash flow is king. And if you're making $100,000 a year, that's $8,300 a month. And so those are real numbers, right? So if you start an investment, a cash flow investment strategy, you can look at a plan that says, hey, I need to get to $8,300 a month. And guess what? Your subconscious goes, yeah, let's do it. I believe that because I've seen it. I've felt it. I've touched it. I've seen it in my bank account. I know I can do it because I've done it before. So not only that, if you save $10,000 your first year and then you got to get to 8 million, you're going to look at that gap and be like, no, it's never going to happen, right? But if you look at, you have a cash flow strategy and you have a whole plan to get there, and then all of a sudden you got $400 or $500 a month of monthly cash flow coming in, that may not seem like a big deal month or in year 1 or 2 to pull that off, but do you realize you're already a 16th of the way to achieving your goal? Like if you do that? And so you basically just took a 40-year journey and compressed it into 16 years if all you did was that. But I got news for you. If you compound that cash flow and if you let it do it, this is how you can reach financial freedom, financial independence, so you can be completely financially free. And if you want to quit your job, you can. If you want to keep working your job, you can. But the good news is it's going to allow you to show up as the most powerful version, the most impactful version of yourself that you can possibly be. And I'm a big believer that God put you here for a reason. And it's our obligation to do the best with the resources that we've been given. And, that's not just money. That's you and the tools and the gifts and the abilities that you were put here to put to use on this planet. And so what I can say to that is this is how you can get there in 10 years, in 12 years, in 15 years, whatever it is. I'm not going to give an exact number to it. Let's call it 10 to 15 years. That's still 3 to 4 times faster than the traditional plan. And not only are you going to get there faster, you're going to have more control of the results. You're going to believe it. It's going to improve your lifestyle along the way. And you're going to be more fulfilled along the process. And which if we go back to, that's what this is all about, right? And you're going to be able to create this legacy component to it, because I have kids. I love nothing more than teaching my kids about this stuff along the way. And they're only 10, 7, and 3. But they all know, they all have the mindset. One of my favorite things that I hear come out of any human being's mouth is my little 3-year-old. She's going to be 4 next week. But is my little 4-year-old, I'll call it, since she's about to turn, even though my wife would kill me if she heard me call her 4 already. But is when she says, feel the fear and do it anyway. And like the ability for us to take that and like the subconscious and these conscious like decisions that for us is like we have to force ourselves to do that. And because of the generational component to it, I've been able to get that for my 3-year-old daughter, and she's naturally, her subconscious is like, no, I don't care if I'm scared. I'm just going to go do it. This is what we do. I'm a Kirkpatrick. That's what I do, right? And so, like, this stuff that my wife and I had to train ourselves, that we had to like work through, and it's so cool to see that, right? And so I know that's not the cash flow component. It just kind of hit my mind, but like the same thing goes. These principles, these new habits, these new ways of living and achieving life. If you believe that the financial system is set up for you to fail, you just don't know exactly why. Well, this is why. Because you're on the wrong ladder. You're climbing the wrong ladder for success. You need to get on the right ladder, and that right ladder is cash flow investing. If you want to learn more, get my free book in the description below. But those are the 4 things that you need to understand if you want to get rich faster. And I promise you, if you don't understand those 4 things, if you don't implement them in your life, when I say rich, I don't mean just with money. I mean fulfillment. I mean the whole package. Freedom, time freedom, ability to spend it with your kids and your wife, the ability to have enough money to do whatever you want to do, to be able to show up as a better version of yourself. That's what wealth is. That's what being rich is to me. It's not just about the money. You can make a lot of money grinding out. I know plenty of people that have been successful that are on the 3rd marriages, that have estranged relationships with their kids and all that stuff, especially in the financial industry. It's one of the reasons I left the corporate side of the financial business. I looked around and everybody was in rehab, had kids, estranged relationships with their kids, were in their 3rd marriages. I looked at that and I was like, no, I want nothing to do with any of this. I would rather be broke. You couldn't offer me $1 billion a year to live a life like that. And so for me, that's a big thing. That is not rich. You can make a lot of money. That doesn't make you rich. In fact, I would say when they hit their deathbed at the end, they're going to feel poor. And so that's what this is about. These are the 4 things that you need to be rich. And I encourage you to really think about them and share this video with your kids. Share this video with anybody that you feel would benefit from this message. If you have any comments, questions, anything, comment in the comment section below. I do my best to engage with every single comment. If you haven't already, I would just be honored if you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell. That way you get notified every time I launch a new video. And that's it. Have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk to you on the next video. Take care.